Good afternoon, Facebook. I hope that I'm streaming. I have to check in to see. Okay, great. Good afternoon, Facebook. Friends, I just want to say, that again, it's been an amazing week for us here. And when I say amazing, I mean amazing. The level of healing that we're experiencing, especially over the last month from the time of the eclipse till now, has been super accelerated. I just want to give you some data about us, about Rythmia. We are a healing center located in Guanacaste, Costa Rica. I want to thank all of our friends who have joined us and spent a week retreat here with us and had amazing experiences. Our claim to fame is that we have this super, super high traceable, self-reported miracle rate, and that miracle is a reconnection with oneself. I'm just going to give you some stuff. It's our 87th week. We have 87. We just did 87 consecutive retreats. I taught 206 workshops. We've had 507 ceremonies, sacred plant ceremonies in that time. 507. We might not be the best, I don't know, but we definitely have the most practice by about 50 times other people. So we're really, really, really doing a lot of what we're doing. And I want to tell you, as a center, we don't judge ourselves on your awareness while you're here or what you believe happened, because you can go many places and have tremendous awakenings, tremendous awarenesses. We judge ourselves and pride ourselves on whether or not this changed your life. And we found that about 94% of the people, it changes their life going forward. And I mean a real change. We get this comment more often than not that people divide their life into a couple categories, and one of them is before Rythmia and after Rythmia. We're doing amazing work, and we're under tremendous guidance for this work. So I just want to say that all of us here have the month of September off, and we want to thank all of you people for participating in this with us, and for the employees and the healers and the light workers who are here giving their time to a cause that we think is the greatest cause on earth. So we want to thank everybody for this, and we're looking to start again in October with a bang. In the interim, for my little vacation, I get to go back to visit my wife in California, and then on to Colombia to drink some more medicine with someone who's very, very important to us at this center. A bunch of people who are. My little talk today. So in this last 500 ceremonies, of which I'd been in 199 of them, I had some tremendous insights to my own life, and those insights, I believe, can help other people, because you can actually get the benefit of these journey experiences, because they'll resonate true with everybody at every level. So the first thing I want to do is tell you what happened to me. So I moved full-time to Costa Rica, and if you want right now, you can do me a great favor, because we're trying to build a bigger community every week that we do this. So if you could just press the share button on this and invite some of your friends to see this, it may lead to them having an experience that's a real positive and beneficial change in their life. So thank you for sharing, if you could share this. But I want to tell you that one of my most recent journeys, about 5 journeys ago or 6 journeys ago, I had moved full-time to Costa Rica to take on this project, and I had sold my house in California, in Malibu, and I got down here, and after being here for a few months, I was like, I would like to own a house in the United States again. This is the first time since I've been about 20 years old where I haven't owned real estate in the United States. And I said, I'd like to own a home. So what I do is I think of different areas, and I go to Trulia, and I start looking, and I become somewhat absorbed in the event of looking for a home. So I wanted to look at California in 5 different places, and look at different houses and find out what they're selling for, and blah, 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 blah. And I didn't notice it, but I was becoming drunk under the guise of looking for a home, and it became a distraction. So one night, I drank the medicine, and I said to the mother, I said, hey, I'm coming humbly to you, and I'm having some problem figuring out where I want to live in California, because I'm a goal setter. So I'll set a goal and try to get there in a couple of years, try to have a place here, maybe one in the States. And I said, this is what I'm trying to do, and it's creating some confusion for me, and I wanted the mother to clear it up for me. So this is the journey that I had. It's never, ever, ever what you're looking for, but always what you need, right? So the journey started out, and I had to go through a rebirth, and I came through a yoni, and all of a sudden, I was put in a box. And so I came out, and I looked, and there were 4 corners, and I was in a box. I was in a hospital room. And then I was taken from there. I was put into a box that rolls. So maybe I spent a couple days there. Because in the medicine, it all happens in seconds. A couple days there, and I was put into a box that rolled, and I could notice it was a box. It was squarer than a normal car, to make a point. And the box that rolled took me to a home, which is a series of boxes in a big box. And then I was put into a room, which is a box, and it was like painted blue and all that kind of boy stuff. And then the first thing that the neighbors and friends got, my parents, who were nameless in this thing, was a crib, which is a smaller box. So now I made it from one box to a rolling box to a big box and put in a small box. And then I spent a lot of time, minutes, but was a couple of years, getting out of that crib box into a different box within the series of boxes that were in my house. And that box became where I was. And what was crazy was my focus throughout all this time was to be put in different boxes. And so, that goes on. And around 5 years old, I get to go to outside in a rolling box to another box that's a school. And in that series of boxes of that school, I keep changing boxes. Every year I go from one class to a different class to a different class, and these boxes keep changing and changing and changing. But I'm with a bunch of other people who like boxes too. And the whole thing, what they were teaching us in these boxes were things that were outside of the box but not experiencing. So they were teaching us about cultures and ideas and concepts that were out of the box but fully entrenched in the box. And so one thing leads to another, and you spend 10 or 12 years, and then if you do a really great bang-up job, you get to go to a new bunch of boxes. And that bunch of boxes is like you have to apply to get in with a bunch of other people who are searching for a bigger, better box. And so and the promise is that if you pay money, enough money, and you go to one of these boxes, these teaching boxes, that then you can get out in life and you can buy a really nice box for yourself, if you're lucky. So what happens then is that you go to this other series of boxes for a number of years, and you get out, and you might even go to one more round of series of boxes if you get accepted into graduate school or a doctorate or whatever you're going to do, and again with the promise of one day having a wonderful box in a neighborhood, which I'm going to get to in a second, that is comprised of people who think identically to you, right? This is what the goal is. So this gets pretty wild. So then all of a sudden you're in your college years, and I'm watching this it's like a time lapse video, and watching this thing, and then it slows down at key parts of it. If you've been on journeys, you understand this. And so the thing is, so you're spending time, you're doing this, you're doing this, all this jumping through hoops in these boxes, with the end result of one day having these nicer boxes. So boom, you get through college, and then all of a sudden you go to apply for the ultimate thing. You've spent all this money on your boxes. Your parents have invested a ton of money into your box. Now you've invested a ton of money into the school box and borrowed against it, and all of a sudden now you go to get your job. So where is your job? Most likely in a box, and a big bunch of boxes, and then you get this job, which is supposed to make you feel great. This is the thing, it's supposed to make you feel great, and you go get this job, and you go to this big box, and you meet the chief of this big box series of boxes, and he says go to this room, and then you go into that room, and then there's 100 little boxes that don't have any roof on them. They're like these cubicle boxes, and you get to park there, and depending on how good you do in that box, you might get to move around within that box, maybe get a corner box, maybe a box with a view, maybe a box away from the copier but close to the water fountain, and you go to these things and you jump through these hoops. And what do you spend your time daydreaming about? About living in a real nice box, and then driving a really nice rolling box. So you spend your time looking at BMWs and Mercedes and all this stuff, and then it comes to this, and you decide, hey, I'm going to live in a development. And what is a development? It's a series of boxes. And those boxes are for people who think just like you. They like the same things that you like. And here's what you notice about these boxes, is that you get to pick a box that from the outside looks a hell of a lot like the box next to you. But your own flair is included on the inside. And you can use a couple of different outside things, and you get to pick your own carpet and your own floor type and your own, a couple of different appliances that are unique to you, and that's your flair. That's your differences. So the word is development. Hey, come check out our latest development. And it's the antithesis of development, because there's not too much mental development or spiritual development that goes on in that development, full of people that are identical to you. But this is the goal. And so then you get this box and you start thinking about, hey, I got a great rolling box, I have a good job inside my cubicle box, and I bought a nice box in the development, and now I'm going to think about maybe a vacation box, and that'll be great. And so you do better at your work, and you get a vacation box, and next to people who think like you think, and then you continue to work, and you have some kids, and they grow up, and you throw them in boxes, and then figure out how they're going to stay in boxes forever. And then you get old, and you go to retire, and everybody says, oh, retirement. So now what we're going to do. And the whole time, your quest for these boxes has not made you happier. It's made you more focused sometimes. And some of us, it makes us a drunk or a drug addict or a sex addict or something else. But we've spent our life in the pursuit of these boxes, and then all of a sudden it's time to downsize. So now what do we look for? Smaller box. So we sell our stuff and go to our smaller box, and downsize our car. We no longer need the fancy car, so we get a smaller box. We get our pretty wristwatch from our company, and we get a smaller box and go to live a small box life. And then our children aren't too thrilled with us, and they decide to throw us in what's called a retirement community, which is just a smaller box filled with other people that are in our same situation. And then we tend to get sick. And when we get sick, we go to the hospital box. And then the hospital box to the hospice box. And during our time in the hospice box, people say to us, hey, how do you want to do this final stage here? Do you want to be cremated? And we're like, cremated? What do they give you for that? Like, I'm not afraid about the getting burned part, but don't they put you in an urn? That's not a box. And they say, no, you can get a box. And, well, if I can get a box, then you can burn me. So we do that, and then we wind up on a box in someone else's box, and that's our life. And when the medicine showed me this is all because I was confused over a house. So what is the point of it? The point of it is not that the nature of getting a box is wrong. The point of it is that if that's the driver in our life, it's ridiculous. It showed me the ridiculousness of spending time on that, and how there was no happiness equated with the quest for the box. So what I'm going to tell you, or what it told me, was that anything that's related to the quest for the box, you're not going to find the happiness thing in. And strangely enough, shortly thereafter, I stumbled across a couple of different things. I stumbled across the happiness study, which was the 75-year-old, the longest study ever conducted on happiness, and I just really started to pick it apart and to read about it, because again, at Rythmia, we judge ourselves not on the awakening you had, not on being able to tell your friends that, oh, I had this amazing awakening, but on how happy you are for the rest of your life. That's the thing. So the happiness study was really super important to me. So I actually got to see it, and it's there for everybody to read. But they confirmed what inherently we all know, that it's not about money, it's not about the box. And here's what was super interesting about it. It came down to our relationships, not finding the perfect lover, not finding the perfect soulmate, not that, but the quality of our relationships. And so everything goes to the quality of relationships. So, and that's great. In the study was so amazing because it confirmed something that we all know. Here's where things break down. And this is why I guess I was a pretty good business guy. When I was a business guy, which I don't even consider myself a business guy anymore, but when I was one, I was pretty damn good at it. And the reasoning is that I would question everything. So the first question that came to my mind was what the Harvard study missed. And it missed why. Why and how. So if the quality of these relationships is so important to me, then what type of person has these or this type of relationship? And it goes right to the cutting, to the where the rubber hits the road in this whole thing. It goes to self. So the first relationship that anybody, if all things are relative, and if the scientist in you agrees with this, that you cannot have these external relationships with an internal relationship that's screwed up. It's impossible. I cannot give out of fear, lack, and limitation. It's impossible. All I can do out of fear, lack, and limitation is protect and take. It's the fact. And if I do get in a situation where I'm giving, it's loving from behind armor. So I might give 10% love and then check and see if I'm getting 10% back to make sure. Okay, because I don't want to be out of balance. And if you're going to do that, the quality of your relationships is going to be shit. It's not going to be good. So the people that have these wonderful relationships are people that are not living in fear, lack, and limitation. And in order to do that, you have to get back to you. And by getting back to you, what I mean is reconnecting with your soul, to re-merge with your soul. Because when you're merged with your soul, you're enough. And until you're enough, you cannot possibly be enough to someone else. You cannot possibly have a relationship that's enough. It's impossible. You can, but they would have to be super superficial. So you might have a relationship with your mailman, although I doubt it. That would be enough if you were still in fear, lack, and limitation. If you were still split. If your if you were not merged back with your soul. So in our business, in the business of Rythmia, we're actually in a very predictable business. And so all of our workshops, all of our speakers, all of what we do here, everything from our transformational breath work to our food, to our Dead Sea cleanse, the cleanse that the hydrocolonic cleanse that we have here, everything is designed to do a number of different things, 3 things. To allow you to see whom you've become, then to allow the next step of merging you back with your soul, and then the final step of repairing your heart. That's the whole business that we're in, and we do it on a bunch of different levels. I hear a lot of people that say, "Oh my God, how can you be happy and how can you be full when things are so bad? Look at Donald Trump and look at what's going on in the Philippines. Look at this, look at that, look at this, look at the Middle East. And they're talking about all this stuff. And what's interesting, one of the couples who I love the most, who've been here, is Dr. DeMarco, and he's this wonderful guy, and his wife is amazing. They're just this greatest couple. Well, they sent me this book, The Better Angels of Our Nature, and in that book, it clearly says that in the past 5,000 years, we're living in the least violent times right now. So this thing that's gone on, this awareness that's happening, this shift that is currently occurring, is no reason not to be. It's not a reason to be unhappy. It's absolutely a reason to be happy. That in spite of some of the leaders and some of the problems in the world, in spite of like the $2 a day labor for 80% of the world, that this is an improvement, and we are less violent than we've ever been, on the way to even becoming less violent. So we are in the shift. This is the beginning of the golden age. This is what we're at. If you're not there, it's because, and we have data now. I believe for probably, if you listen to Graham Hancock, and if you're just aware of things, you know that we've lived in technologically advanced civilizations before, and the data got destroyed. Well, right now we have data, and the data is showing that there's the key to happiness, that making more than $75,000 a year doesn't do shit for your happiness, but these relationships do. And as a result of the relationships meaning everything, the first relationship is the relationship with you. So it's so simple. It's different. Like if you were born just even 100 years ago, you wouldn't have access to any of this data. That these are the keys to how to get home. But we have it now. We're living in the best time we could ever live. Everything is amazing. Everything is amazing from so many. And Louis C.K. says everything's amazing and nobody's happy. But everything is amazing because it's happening all around us, right? So we have this data, and the data clearly points to one thing. If you want to be happy, have great relationships. That's it. That's all it is. So now all we got to do is figure out the thing that the Harvard study didn't do. It didn't say to those people, hey, how did you get the relationship with yourself that allowed you to have this relationship with all other things? And that's the piece that I believe we can do. I believe that's something that we're getting super skilled at, is creating this relationship. And it is, in turn, I'm going to tell you, this is how crazy this goes. And in the study it didn't say it, but I know this to be true, that the person who has a great relationship with himself or herself also has a great relationship with other people. And if you want to talk about in the world of manifesting material things, if you don't have good relationships with other people, you're at the bottom end of that chain. It's just the way that it is. The people who do well financially, who achieve their dreams and goals, are people that have these relations with other people because the result of you being cool with yourself is you being cool with others. And cool with others means you're ethically and morally trustworthy, right? And that's who wants to do business with a cutthroat. Who wants to do business with somebody who's going to get the best of them? Not too many people. And so, like, when you take a look at it in the biggest, most top-down way of looking at these things, is that the people that are the happiest with themselves are the happiest with others, and the people who are the happiest with others are also the people that have the best relationships with work, with success, and all those things. And this all comes, and it all begins and ends with self. And so my goal with you, I'm trying to get these lights on. There. My goal and the goal of Rythmia is to get this relationship with you, to make this happen with you. And we do that here, and we do it in a super unique way. We've been shown by the medicine, and believe this to be absolutely true, that there's a stared approach to this happiness. And that approach first involves you seeing whom you've become. Not who you are in your wholeness, not who you are in your greatness, but who you've become as a result of the circumstances that were present in your life growing up until now. And then once you understand that, and once you tell yourself the truth about yourself, you're ready to remerge with your soul. And once this event happens, and happens best under medicine, in all honesty, but once this remerging happens, then you can go to the next step and have your heart repaired. And once your heart is repaired, you are ready for the relationship of your life. And that relationship is with you. And then that relationship opens the door to the love of your life, to the friendship of your life, to the business relationships of your life, to the family and interfamily relationships of your life. This is the key to the key to the key. And we have a Harvard study that backs this up as fact, as scientific, irrevocable fact. So there is no longer any reason to wonder, and there's no longer a reason to be confused, and there's no longer a reason to be apprehensive. The facts are there, and now you have to take advantage of those facts. And if you put that together, along with being born and being alive in a time like no other time in the past 5,000 years, a time where there's less violence than there's ever been, and it's getting less and less, where on average every year people improve intelligence-wise by, it doesn't seem like a lot, by 3 IQ percentages. So and that doesn't seem like a lot, but it's a ton that people are getting brighter. And as a result, and by being brighter, the information age, all being brighter means is it's allowed us to look at life from the perspective of others. When before this information was free, and when we were getting news from one source and an opinion from one source, we could not look at others in the way that we do now. Now, with just a little bit of research and 10 minutes on a computer, you can see what your friends and what our Catholic neighbors are going through, what people of different cultures are going through, what are the people that work at a place that we don't work. We can in 2 minutes look at what they're going through. We can see how food is being farmed. We're becoming intelligent. And the greatest part about this is this: if you take out things that are radical, real radical opinions, you take out the outliers, and you look at the whole, people are really great, genuine, and they want to be loved, and they are loved. So the group of us, the whole middle, wants the same thing. So you've been born at a time beyond compare. This is the time to live. You're part of the shift. You're part of the golden age. This is what's happening, and all we got to do is get our stuff in order, and we can really, really, really have a better life. And I say this for this thing. Our goal at Rythmia is not to produce saints. It's not to do that. It's to produce people who are in love with life. And if you want to talk about what a saint is or what a holy person is, it's a person who appreciates the life that they're in. Do you see that? Because you can't, and when you're appreciative of the life that you're in, you can't help but love and help other people. There's no way around it. So this is the goal of Rythmia, and this is what we're trying to do. And although we're terribly imperfect and learning all the time, we're doing this more than anybody that we know. We're doing so much of this work. So I really urge you, if you want, and if you want to change your life, and really change your life, not have like not have a 10-day miracle, not have something that lasts a few days and go home and it's over for good. If you really, really, really want something that's forever and is going to change your life, please call us. We have operators that are always standing by, ready to book your next year's vacation. I mean, you could spend your next year's vacation anywhere. You could go to Club Med and get drunk and get in trouble and do all that shit. But really, this is one of the only places in the world that you can check in on Sunday and check out on Sunday and be a different human and have that change happen to you for the rest of your life. And there's a number I want to give you. It's 866-936-9446. If you want to talk to us about what you're looking for or have any questions about what we offer, please call that number and make the change in your life. It's right there if you want to do it. Again, I'm going to tell you now, for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be in California. So I'm going to do 2 more of these Facebook Lives. The next one that I really want to talk about, which is going to be a great, what I believe, that's a little self-promoting of me, but I think it's going to be a really good one, is next week's talk, which is a true solution, and why talk therapy just isn't enough, why talk therapy doesn't work, and there really is a reason. So I see so many people who beat themselves up because they're going to all this talk therapy and doing these workshops, and they work for a minute, and then they don't work, and then the person who went to this thing and went to the therapy thinks it's their fault. And I can assure you that it's not. And that's the subject of next week's. And then the week after that is combining therapies for success, combining these different therapies that we employ and call the Rythmia way, and why that way works more than anything. So if there's anybody that has any questions that they'd like me to address or to talk about something that's on your mind, it's a great time to. Is there anything that came through as far as questions?
There are 2 questions.
Okay.
The first one is from Heidi Larson, and she says, so when you were super unhappy before plant medicine, did you feel cool with yourself at all?
Did I feel cool? With myself? Let me explain that one to you. So here's how things were for me before plant medicine. So, the first thing is that I was drunk most of the time. And when I say most of the time, I was either drunk or hungover almost every day in my life. But I was a functional drunk. So were there times when I was cool? I'm going to tell you how that worked. So if I made a bunch of money and I went and bought, I had a penchant for like expensive cars and stuff. So if I went and bought a Ferrari, for that day, I would feel cool. But immediately it would have a counter cool effect where I would feel upset because I would be thinking, wow, that should have made me feel better than it made me feel. And then I would feel super depressed again, and then I'd go make more money and buy something else because the consumerism aspect of my thing was super, super high. That I was always buying something and always thinking about buying something that kept, because any distraction to keep myself from knowing that I left my soul at some point was good enough distraction. So there were times when I was happy. There were times like I would be constantly dating new women. So, and dating's a very loose term for me. So as soon as I would meet someone, I would get excited until I slept with them, and then I would be like not excited and upset with myself. So I was in this constant cycle of hitting these peaks that make me unhappy. So it looked a lot like sacred geometry. It was a peak and an unhappiness, a peak and an unhappiness. And honestly, it was hell. And it was so bad that I did try to commit suicide a couple of times. And that's as honest as I can be with anybody. And I went from that to super content. And I really am a guy, and the people who are close to me know I'm funny, according to them, and I'm content. Things could be better, absolutely. And by the way, plant medicine was not the point. It was the beginning and the end. It was the end of one thing and the beginning of something else, because I had to get to learn all about myself all over again. I didn't even know what I liked after that. I didn't know if I liked football or baseball or golf. I didn't know, because it completely wiped me clean, and I had to start and learn again. And so it's the beginning and the end. Is there another question there too?
Yeah, it says, Jennifer Smith, does the what if become part have to do with traumas in the past and dealing with them?
Absolutely. So the big question of what have I become? So let's talk about that. So it's our belief, and this belief came from my first journey with plant medicine, where I was shown that all of us, between when we're conceived and 5 years old, have something that happens in our life that makes us feel unsafe, almost life-threatening. And because of that, we leave our soul to become this other person and put our ego in charge. We leave our soul in that you're designed to do it. And the reason you're designed to do it is because you couldn't expand your consciousness from the life events that occur to us if you were aware of the agreement between you and your soul. So you have to feel alone. The growth comes from when you absolutely are at the end of your rope and you're alone, and then the awareness of your never being alone is what happens and allows you to put that back together. So yeah, the reason that we split, and for all people it's different things. In my case, I was sexually abused. A lot of people, happens when they're in the womb, that their mother and father are in fights, or God forbid that their mother got hit by the father while they're in the womb. Or in many cases, the most common is they didn't get fed on time. So if you were born and you're in your crib and your parents are making love and you're crying and you didn't get fed on time, or your brother got fed ahead of you, and for you, that's life and death, because this is your whole world is in that crib, and you're completely dependent on someone else to give you sustenance, and in your mind, they're never coming back. That's enough to split off and to become someone else. And that's part and parcel with what happens to all people, and what we specialize in here, what we're great at here, if we're great at anything. It's getting people to see who they become, remerging them back with their soul, and then repairing their heart from the damage that was done as a result of that split. That's our thing.
There's another one from Aaron, and he says, I was diagnosed with cancer earlier this year. I want to get answers on why spiritually I got cancer and how to remain cancer-free for the rest of my life. I also need to focus on getting financially secure now. I'm living with my mom, and I need to get out and find a place to live. Okay, cool. So Aaron, let me tell you what the medicine told me. And we've seen this happen here. And if I was in the United States, I couldn't make medical claims. And I couldn't even tell you what has happened to previous clients if I were in the United States, but we're in Costa Rica and we're medically licensed in Costa Rica. And I can tell you, I can't make a claim for you, I can tell you what has happened to other people. And I can also tell you why. And so let's start out with the why. The spiritual causation of all disease. So I'm going to draw it for you, right? So this was your soul, and this here
Something happened between when you were conceived and 5 years old that made you split and to become someone else. So your whole life you have this void, and that all disease, all disorders, and all addictions come from this longing, from this split that happens. Now what's crazy is when you put this back together, when you remerge back with your soul, your body is perfectly designed, providing it's being fed with the right things, which are fruits and vegetables for this conversation. Your body is perfectly designed to heal itself. There's no need for outside things. Your body is perfectly designed. But as long as that split occurs, there's no amount of fixing. Even if you use Western medicine and we get fixed through, let's say, chemotherapy. And then you take the chemotherapy away, but you didn't fix the split. Then all of a sudden what happens is the thing comes back. So one of the people who I liked having most here was Anita Mirjani, who wrote the book, I think, Dying to Be Me, and explained about her thing. And when she explains her thing, what happened to her, it's the same thing that happens to people here. We've had people who've had growths, and those growths were removed in one night, being here after emerging your soul. So the great thing is that I don't care what stage you're in, it's all fixable. It's all fixable. And a plant medicine experience is a lot like a death experience. So we can get to the root cause, and then we can put ourselves back together. And once you put yourself back together, providing that you're feeding yourself the right thing, the body wasn't designed to heal itself on Pringles. It's just not the way the thing works. But once you put yourself back together, the body is perfectly designed to heal itself on fruits and vegetables, and I mean heal itself in totality.
Michelle is asking, how did the name Rythmia come about?
The name Rythmia came about from a previous business that I had. It actually came in a dream, and it's about a 20-year-old name, 15-year-old name that came to us. But what's so funny is when the medicine showed me what it means, the word Rythmia. The original logo was on water, and it was reflected. The Rythmia was reflected, and it's remember you're the happiest man in accretion, and in accretion means in all things. And then the mirror says remember you're the happiest woman in accretion, and that's what this whole thing is about getting to. It's about getting to that happiness, and that's our thing, and that's what we're becoming, I believe, the best at. And then I have like a penchant for wanting to be the best at things. So I want to be the best at this, and our whole organization is designed to bring that about in each person. The most happy is what we're trying to do. And I believe that's it for this week. I think that's all the time we have. Again, please feel free to call that number. Please join me next week. And we're going to talk about a true solution and why talk therapy is not the answer. Until then, may God hold you, bless you, and keep you. And by all means, leave yourself alone and try to have a good time. God bless you, and thank you guys for taking a look at this thing. And when you get a chance, please share this thing with your friends. And thank you so much. And gone?
No.
Still there? Why do every week I do this?